Hey guys, it's FilterSC here, and I'm back for my Terran episode number 9 for Heart of the Swarm Bronze to Masters.
Not enough minerals.
And we'll just double check our sound volume, which looks good. Turn it down a little bit. There we go.
Not enough minerals.
And in this particular episode, we're going to be talking specifically about map control. Now, the reason I've chosen to do this in a live game is I feel it's one of the best ways to learn, rather than me just kind of droning on about it over and over. So all I'm going to do is just do like a really basic opener.
Not enough minerals.
Keep it nice and simple, and then we're going to talk about the various points on the map as I do that, and kind of how you can gain that map control, how important it is, and what it gives you. Now, while the game's starting to get opened up as I start to get all my stuff organized here, one of the biggest things about map control is it's extremely underrated. People talk all the time about scouting and how they can find out what their opponent's doing and all that fun stuff. At the end of the day, if you have really good map control and you see your opponent's army moving out, you're just going to be in better shape, right? So an example of that would be if I have control of this watchtower, my opponent's army is here, I have all this space to work with to get my defense set up, get my arc set up, figure out what my opponent's composition is going to look like, if I'm going to need bunkers, what kinds of things I'm going to be safe against, that kind of stuff, right? So it's really important that you kind of hold the watchtowers, and then you have units in position for drops. So we're going to talk about that. All I'm doing for my opener right now is just a basic 14cc. It's really simple, it's easy to do. It's really good against Zerg. You can't really get away with it against Terran or Protoss, but you can do it against Zerg relatively safely. If you are scared of like 6 pools and stuff, you can use your command center and your wall in too. Personally, I don't really care if I lose to a 6 pool, because I know why, so I'll be a little extra greedy when I'm doing it. So you put your command center down on 14, then you get your barracks on 15. It does require a couple of SCV cuts to do it properly, but at the same time it ends up paying off. You actually get more units out of this than you would if you did a 1-rax expand.
Not enough minerals.
And you keep about the same SCV count because you are kind of cutting. So now we'll just keep making SCVs. Once that barracks is up, I'm going to use those Marines for map control. So now I'm going to take both of my gases at once, and this is kind of an experimentation point, because I want to try a few different things in terms of build orders here. So again, just a real simple opener, easy to do, really good against Zerg. Don't recommend it against Protoss or Terran, but for what we're trying to do here, it's going to work just fine. You intentionally don't make any supply depots because you're going to get your supply off your command center. That's the idea with the SCV cuts that you do in this build. Yeah, I'm going to send this guy down here to mine.
SCV ready.
And now I can start a Marine.
Enough minerals.
So, the big thing with map control is it gives you so many advantages over your opponent for things that he's not really going to be able to do. And I'm going to get my factory right away here. And get a reactor on that. Okay, so this Marine, now I wouldn't recommend it if you're doing this build, but for the purpose of map control, we're going to do this. We're demonstrating map control.
Not enough energy.
We're going to do this. Now what you want to do is take the watchtower, and don't let your opponent get it. If he's a Zerg player, and he has like, 14 lings or something, then you're going to have to give it up until you get your Hellions out. That's part of the reason I like the build so much. If he's a Terran player, just send a couple more workers after, or a couple more Marines to make sure you have that watchtower. Because he really has to move past this if he wants to attack you. The exception being drops, but I'm going to show you how to kind of cover yourself against that as well. Alright, so now we need a depot, and I can lift this off and start my tech lab like basically right away. And we should get that extra depot just to be safe. And we're going to get ready to start our Hellion production, and it should come up basically as soon as that depot's finished, but it doesn't really matter.
Supply depots required. Additional supply depots required.
And you can see with that vision, I feel safe. My opponent is not going to be able to attack me. He can't have drops or anything like that this early. So I feel pretty safe, even with that Marine out there. Now it is just a easy AI computer, but whatever. Alright, so now I want to get my 2 engineering bays really quickly. Just a little bit more of an experimentation thing. And when I get my Hellions out, we're going to start taking some map control with them. So now all my Hellions are going to do is control his front door, because then he really can't leave. And I don't need very much at home, because the chances of getting dropped or anything like that much lower, right?
Ready to raise some hell.
Alright. So now we've got our Hellions, and they're all just kind of camping out inside of his front door. We can start getting our upgrades.
Not enough minerals.
And this Marine is going to be drop prevention, right? So you always want to do stuff like this
Additional supply
to have full
depots
map
required.
control. Where I bring this Marine down, throw him over here, and my opponent can no longer really drop me
Not
without me
enough
knowing about it.
energy.
Right? He's going to have to fly past that Marine. He can kind of skirt the outside of it, but that's okay. Should be able to save ourselves from any mishaps. Now, what I want to do is get my armory and actually get a second factory because I want to start Hellbat production. I'd like to start it a little bit earlier, but that's fine. So now I've got my 6 Hellions. Feeling pretty good. I'm just going to poke around. Okay, so he's got a few Zealots and a Stalker. Not a big deal. Not an army I want to fight. But again, he's in his base, he's not attacking me. I feel pretty safe, I feel pretty comfortable. I can get my 3rd command center up. Theoretically, you know, well, he has expanded. I actually didn't think the computers would, but hey, whatever. So now I'm just checking for a 3rd base, nothing. You know, I haven't found a 3rd yet, I feel pretty comfortable. Again, with the map control I have, he's not going to sneak a drop past me. Unless he goes up the far side, which takes too long. Most people won't do that. So everything feels pretty good. You can see, I could basically build nothing but tack it home and be more than, consider myself more than safe. In this case, I'm going to add my extra barracks now, because I have everything I need. And now we can start making Hellbats. Get our combat shield, get vehicle plating. So far this feels pretty good actually. More depots, supply depots are awesome. And get all our barracks hotkeyed. Apparently failed to hotkey all our barracks properly. There we go. Get that stuff hotkeyed. And now we can get a starport, which is actually kind of late, but whatever. So my 3rd base is going to come up at a nice timing. Again, I just have really good map control. My opponent can't really do anything to me. And what I'm going to do to these Hellbats is just check for ninja expansion. Again, making sure that my map control is really good is important to me right now.
Hellbat coming through.
There we go, more Hellbats. Get Marine production ready to go. Start 2-2. I actually need more gas, which is my mistake. I should have taken it a lot earlier, but that's alright. We'll make do.
This better be good. SCV ready.
Insufficient Vespine
There we go.
gas.
Hellbat coming through.
And again, just poking around with my Hellions, making sure I have map control. My opponent really can't do anything to me. Like, yeah, he's moving out with a few Zealots and some Stalkers, but they're not going to do anything. Like, at any point in time right now, am I scared of my opponent? No, of course not, right? I know he doesn't have an ninja expansion. I've managed to take that extra base, and I have full map control, right? There's basically nothing that my opponent can do. So I'm free to do whatever I want at home. Which in this case is teching up. Right, so I'm getting my starport, I've got, you know, Marine Hellbat, which is a pretty good army. I've got all the upgrades I really want on the way. And I can look to take a really early 4th base, because again, I already know what my opponent's doing. Which is nothing, right? So, because I have the early CC, I should be pretty good on workers.
Upgrade complete.
And we'll grab like 4 more, and throw them in the gas geysers.
Not
go.
enough minerals. Not enough minerals.
And we'll get the next level of
Not
vehicle
enough
armor.
minerals.
And again, I have full vision of the map, right? I've got a guy looking for drops up here. I have these watchtowers up here. I have this watchtower here. Absolutely no problem. Now, in terms of when you're looking to get map control off your opponent, it really does vary based on what race he is. Against Zerg, you can typically grab it with your Hellions, which is why you would make them. Against Terran, if you open Reaper, you can put your Reapers on the watchtowers and gain control that way. And against Protoss, you have to be a little bit careful. You generally want to wait for your first Marauder before you start to look to push out his Stalkers. You want to be really careful he's not doing any kind of like major all-in against you, right?
Daylight's burning.
Keep making SCVs by natural, or by habit. So again, just to clarify that last point to make it easier for everybody, when you're playing against Zerg, you can try to have like a Marine out to get the watchtower to see if there's any big surge of links. If he's good, he'll do a really good job of hiding that fact. But if he's not good, a lot of times he'll just reveal all his links at once, and then you're going to be able to bunker up and prepare a wall in and that kind of stuff, because you already know what's coming, right? and it doesn't come as a big giant surprise, which is when you run yourself into all kinds of different trouble.
You want a piece of
And
me, boy?
against Protoss, you have to be a little bit more careful because a stalker can essentially out micro infinite Marines. You generally won't be able to get your map control until a little bit later on. Again, once you get your first Marauder, you should be pretty safe to just kind of push out and force the other player away.
Go, go, go!
Ready for dust off.
Complete.
So again, I have full map
Upgrade
vision.
complete.
I'm more than comfortable. My opponent can't take an expansion. He could drop me. Generally, you don't want to rally your army there. I'm just doing that kind of out of laziness to overemphasize the point of how good map control
Additional add-on.
can really help you out. You can see we're at 200 supply now, which is great.
Better be good.
Started at
Mineral
3-3.
field depleted.
Our army looks really strong. I like this kind of style of force. I think it'd be pretty powerful
Ready for
overall.
dust off.
And
Ready.
again, my opponent, there's nothing he can do.
Who wants some?
I have complete map vision. So the big things to take away from this particular video are you really want to focus on, number one, maintain the watchtowers.
Boys.
Make sure you have control over the watchtower.
Give me orders?
If you're fighting another Terran player, you want to continuously be looking for that watchtower. Always make sure you're fighting over it. You never want to let the other Terran player have the watchtower, if at all possible. If he sends 2 Marines, you send 3. If he sends 3, you send 4. You're going to make sure you have that watchtower in a TVT. It's going to be yours. There's basically nothing he can do. If the other player is capable of dropping you, so a Terran player, maybe sometimes a Protoss player, that's when you start using Marines to prevent drops. So you put like 1 here. If you really want and you're pretty comfortable, you can start putting Marines on all the different expansions. It looks like my opponent's coming to get me. Make sure he hasn't expanded yet.
This better be good.
Mineral field depleted.
Right, so my opponent poked out. And all you want to do is have maximum vision on the mini-map so that your opponent can't attack you without you knowing about it. It makes such a big difference if you're able to see your opponent's army move out at you. If I see my opponent leave his base and he starts walking down here, and I get vision of him here, I'm going to have lots of time to get my army all spread out and make sure I get a really good arc here, and he's kind of cutting through this small choke,
Mineral
right?
field depleted.
That's what map control gives you, and that's one of the biggest differences between like
Who wants some?
the kind of mid-master player like myself and a high-master player is the high-master player is going to have much better map control, so they're going to be able to do things like freely expand all over the map wherever they want.
Mineral field depleted.
So what we'll do is we'll give you the show because hopefully you want to see it, and we'll attack move with all our stuff, and hopefully wipe the Protoss player off the face of the earth here. Because the Protoss players are dirty,
We could use
and
some
we don't
help
like them.
here.
But again, just keep looking at the mini-map, all kinds of vision, right? My opponent, there's nothing he can do that I'm not going to know about, right?
This better
Mineral field depleted.
And that's half the battle when you're playing this game. I guess he's got 2 warp prisms, but he's not using them because he's scared.
boys. Got any extra firepower? Sure thing.
Right? And everything feels really strong, really good.
Mineral field depleted.
You're not afraid of anything that your opponent can throw at you, right? If you have good map control, those roach pushes, for example, are really easy to spot because you're going to notice all the roaches moving across the map at like 6:37 minutes. If you don't have map control and this Marine's not here,
Give me orders?
you don't see the roach push till it's at your front door.
In the rear with the gear.
Pretty simple and
Who
straightforward.
wants some?
Anyway, guys, I thought I would take a little bit of time in this episode to make it a little bit different and a little bit less boring, so kind of show you a build order in the background, while at the same time talking about the importance of map control. Map control is a very simple subject and it's easy to get into, but it's a very difficult thing to master, and it takes a lot of practice. So what you want to do when you're in your games is just really focus on making sure you have the watchtowers and making sure you cover your drop paths. As long as you're doing those things, you're going to be in really good shape. The other thing is, a lot of people don't actually fight that hard for map control, so if you show your opponent that you're going to work really hard to have all the map at pretty much all times in the game, chances are he's going to kind of forgive on that, and then when you go to attack, maybe the Zerg, instead of making a big round of links to kind of fight you off and push you back, maybe he makes a big round of drones right before you attack. There's all sorts of different things the map control is going to grant you, and it's really important. I would focus more on map control than scouting. Just on a personal level, map control is much more important. So hopefully you enjoyed this particular video. I know it's a little bit different and a little bit more abstract than the ones before, but I feel like it was a pretty good example of how you can gain map control and what it will allow you to do. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you guys next time, and we're going to start talking about some cooler stuff like engagements and things like that. Anyway guys, this is Filter SC. I'll see you guys next time.